The crimson moons of Zarian 7 cast an eerie glow across the crystalline forests as Kira Vex crouched silently among the translucent trees. Her silver-blue skin shimmered in the alien moonlight, making her nearly invisible against the rocky outcroppings. Those blood-red eyes, a mark of her warrior caste, tracked movement in the valley below with predatory focus. For 3 cycles, she had been hunting this particular human. Devon Cross was different from the usual prey her clan provided. Where? Others ran blindly through the wilderness, screaming and stumbling over roots. This one moved with purpose. He planned. He adapted. He fought back with clever traps and makeshift weapons that had already claimed 2 of her hunting partners. Kira's elongated fingers traced the plasma rifle at her side. The weapon hummed with barely contained energy, eager to end this chase. But something held her back. Perhaps it was professional respect for a worthy adversary. Perhaps it was curiosity about what drove this human to keep fighting. When surrender would mean a quicker death, her pointed ears twitched as she caught the sound of movement below. Devon was making his way through a cluster of crystal formations, his dark hair matted with sweat and alien pollen. Those brown eyes constantly scanned his surroundings, alert for danger. His muscular frame moved with the efficiency of someone who understood that wasted motion meant death. The human paused at a stream, cupping the strange blue water in his hands. Kira could have taken the shot then. Easy target, clear line of sight, no obstacles. Instead, she found herself studying the way exhaustion painted lines across his angular face, the way his shoulders slumped with the weight of days without proper rest. The unexpected engineer. What fascinated Kira most was Devon's inventiveness. In just 3 days, he had constructed a communication array from salvaged ship parts, created explosive devices from mineral compounds found in the caves, and even fashioned a crude energy shield from crystalline formations. Her people viewed humans as primitive, but this one displayed intelligence that challenged everything she had been taught. Devon suddenly stiffened, his head turning toward her position. Those brown eyes seemed to look directly at her hiding spot, though she knew he couldn't possibly see her through her camouflage cloak. Still, his hand moved to the weapon at his belt, a plasma cutter he had modified into something resembling a sword. "I know you're watching," he called out, his voice carrying across the crystalline valley. 3 days of this dance. Are you waiting for something specific, or do you just enjoy the game? Kira's crimson eyes narrowed. Prey that acknowledged the hunt was unusual. Most humans either remained obliviously unaware until the moment of capture or devolved into gibbering terror once they realized they were being stalked. This one treated it like a tactical exercise. She dropped from her perch with fluid grace, landing 30 meters away from him with barely a sound. Her silver-blue skin caught the moonlight as she straightened to her full height, nearly matching his 1.8 meters. The form-fitting black armor she wore accentuated curves that were decidedly feminine despite her alien nature. "Most of my prey don't last past the first day," she said, her voice carrying an accent that spoke of distant worlds and alien linguistics. "You have provided excellent entertainment, human." Devon's grip on his weapon remained steady as he took in her appearance. The silver-blue skin was marked with intricate tattoos that seemed to shift and flow in the moonlight. Those crimson eyes held intelligence and something else he couldn't quite identify. Her features were angular, yet beautiful in an otherworldly way, with high cheekbones and full lips that suggested both sensuality and danger. "Entertainment," he repeated, his tone flat. "Is that what this is to you? What else would it be?" Kira tilted her head, genuinely curious. "You are prey. I am predator. The hunt continues until one of us falls." The storm's mercy, as if summoned by her words, the sky above them began to darken. Zarian 7's weather patterns were notoriously unpredictable, and the signs pointed to one of the planet's devastating crystal storms. These tempests could strip flesh from bone with their razor-sharp mineral winds. Evan glanced at the approaching storm clouds, his engineer's mind quickly calculating wind speeds and trajectory. That storm will be here in minutes. We need shelter. Kira's ears flattened against her skull, as she too recognized the danger. Her people were hardy, but even they couldn't survive the full fury of a crystal storm. The nearest shelter was a cave system about half a kilometer away, but reaching it would require cooperation. There, Devon pointed toward a formation of rocks that jutted from the valley floor. Those caves can protect us both. Us? Kira's crimson eyes flashed with something between amusement and suspicion. You would shelter with your hunter? I would survive, he replied simply. The storm doesn't care about our little game. The first winds began to howl through the crystal formations, creating an eerie harmonic that resonated through their bones. Sharp fragments of mineral matter began to swirl in the air, growing more dense with each passing moment. Without another word, both human and alien ran for the shelter. They reached the cave entrance just as the storm reached its full fury. The world outside became a maelstrom of cutting wind and crystalline death. Inside the cave, they found themselves pressed together in the darkness, their breathing the only sound competing with the storm's rage. Kira's enhanced night vision allowed her to see Devon clearly in the absolute darkness. He had pressed himself against the far wall of the cave, giving her as much space as possible while still remaining sheltered. Even now, when survival demanded cooperation, he maintained tactical awareness. Why didn't you shoot me when you had the chance? She asked, her voice softer than before. In the valley, you could have fired while I was dropping from the tree. Devon was quiet for a long moment, considering his answer. Same reason you haven't killed me yet, I think. Curiosity. Curiosity about what? About whether there's more to you than just a hunter. About whether you chose this life, or if it was chosen for you. Kira's breath caught at his words. In her culture, such questions weren't asked. Warriors hunted because it was their nature, their purpose, their duty to the clan. But late at night, when the moons were dark, as she lay alone in her sleeping chamber, she sometimes wondered what it would be like to create instead of destroy, to build instead of hunt. The warrior's choice. My people, she began, then stopped. The words felt strange on her tongue. She had never explained her culture to Prey before. My people believe that strength comes from conquest, that the weak exist to serve the strong. And you believe that? Kira's crimson eyes met his brown ones in the darkness. I used to. Before I met humans who refused to break. Before I saw civilians protect their young, even when facing certain death. Before I encountered an engineer who builds weapons from rocks and crystals. The storm raged outside for what felt like hours. In that time, something shifted between them. Devon shared stories of his life before the war, his work designing communication systems for frontier colonies. He spoke of wanting to connect distant worlds, to build bridges between species, rather than weapons to destroy them. Kira found herself talking about her childhood in Valthara Prime, where young warriors were selected for their hunting potential. She described the brutal training that had shaped her into the perfect predator, the way her clan measured worth only in successful kills and conquered territory. Have you ever wanted something different? Devon asked. The question hung in the air between them like a challenge. Kira's training screamed at her to end this conversation, to remember her purpose and complete the hunt. But his brown eyes held no judgment, only genuine curiosity about her as a person rather than a predator. Sometimes, she whispered, the admission feeling like treason against everything she had been taught. Sometimes I watch the stars and wonder what it would be like to explore them instead of bringing death to the worlds that orbit them. Storm began to subside, its fury gradually diminishing to a gentle whisper of wind through crystal. Dawn was approaching, painting the cave entrance with pale light. Soon they would emerge into a changed world, and the hunt would resume. But something fundamental had shifted during their shelter in the darkness. Devon looked at her not with the fear of prey, but with the warmth of someone beginning to understand. Kira found herself seeing him not as a target to be eliminated, but as a person whose dreams and hopes deserved consideration. As the first rays of Zarian 7's sun pierced the storm clouds, both hunter and hunted realized that their game had become something entirely different. Neither was quite ready to name it, but the connection forming between them promised to challenge everything they thought they knew about enemies and allies, predators and prey, and the possibility of finding understanding across the vast divide. Between species, the hunt would continue, but its rules had fundamentally changed. And in that change lay the seeds of something that neither human nor alien had expected to find in the crystalline wilderness of Zarian 7. The crystalline dawn of Zarian 7 painted everything in shades of amber and gold as Kira and Devon emerged from their shelter. The storm had transformed the landscape, leaving behind formations of new crystal growth that sparkled like scattered diamonds across the valley floor. The air itself seemed different, charged with possibilities that neither had dared to imagine the day before. Devon stretched his muscles, working out the stiffness from sleeping on stone. His brown eyes found Kira watching him with an expression he couldn't quite read. The fierce predator from yesterday seemed softer somehow, her crimson gaze holding warmth instead of cold calculation. "The hunt resumes," she said, but her voice lacked conviction. Her silver-blue fingers traced the grip of her plasma rifle without drawing it. "Does it?" Devon asked, stepping closer. The scent of her alien skin reached him, something like ozone and exotic flowers. "Because I'm starting to think we're hunting for something entirely different now." Kira's pointed ears twitched. A gesture he was learning indicated uncertainty. Her people had no concept for what was growing between them. Warriors took mates within their own species, strategic alliances. That produced strong offspring for the clan. But this human stirred something in her that had nothing to do with duty or genetics. A distant howl echoed across the crystal formations, followed by answering calls from multiple directions. Kira's entire body went rigid, her enhanced hearing identifying the sounds with growing alarm. "My clan," she breathed. "They've sent a hunting pack to find me." The pack arrives through the translucent trees. Shapes began to emerge. 6 warriors in black armor moved with predatory grace, their crimson eyes scanning the terrain for any sign of their missing sister. At their head walked Thane Corax, Kira's former mentor and the clan's most experienced tracker. Kira Vex, his voice boomed across the valley, amplified by his suit's communication system. "You have been missing for 4 rotations. The clan demands answers." Devon's hand moved instinctively to his weapon, but Kira caught his wrist. Her touch sent electricity through both of them, a connection that transcended species barriers. "They cannot see you with me?" she whispered urgently. "If they discover I've been talking to prey instead of hunting, what happens? Exile or death?" Her crimson eyes met his with naked vulnerability. "My people do not tolerate weakness, and mercy is the greatest weakness of all." Devon's mind raced through possibilities. The cave system behind them offered temporary concealment, but a full hunting pack would eventually track them down. His modified plasma cutter might account for 1, maybe 2 warriors, but against 6 experienced hunters, their chances were minimal. There, he pointed to a formation of crystal spires that created a natural maze. "If we can reach those formations, the crystal interference will disrupt their sensors." Kira nodded, her tactical training taking over. "Follow my lead. Step only where I step. These hunters know every tracking technique I know." They moved together through the crystalline landscape, Kira's knowledge of her people's methods guiding them around detection grids and sensor sweeps. But Devon noticed how often her silver blue hand found excuses to touch his arm or shoulder, steadying him over rough terrain or guiding him around obstacles. The confession, deep within the crystal maze, they found a hidden alcove where twisted formations created a natural shelter. The walls sparkled with inner light, casting rainbow patterns across their skin. In this private sanctuary, surrounded by alien beauty, the tension that had been building between them finally found voice. "I should kill you," Kira said, but her words held no threat. "Everything I was taught, everything I am, demands that I complete the hunt." "But you won't." Devon stepped closer, close enough to see the flecks of gold in her crimson eyes. "Because something changed last night. For both of us. My people have no word for what I feel," she whispered. "Warriors do not. We do not form attachments to prey. I'm not prey anymore," he said softly. "And you're not just a hunter. You're Kira. You dream of exploring stars instead of conquering them. You want to create instead of destroy." His human hands rose to cup her angular face, fingers tracing the shifting tattoos that marked her as a warrior. She should have recoiled, should have cut him down for daring to touch her without permission. Instead, she leaned into his touch like a flower turning toward sunlight. "This is madness," she breathed. "Maybe," Devon agreed. "But it's our madness." When their lips met, it was like the collision of two worlds. Her skin was cooler than human normal, her mouth tasting of alien spices and distant winds. But the passion that ignited between them transcended species, transcended everything that should have kept them apart. Kira's armor seemed to dissolve under his touch, revealing the silver-blue perfection of her alien form. Her people were built for war, but her curves spoke of a femininity that was universal. Devon's hands explored the landscape of her body, while she discovered the warmth and strength of human skin. They came together with desperate hunger, predator, and prey transformed into lovers. In the rainbow light of the crystal alcove, their bodies moved in ancient rhythm, proving that desire knew no boundaries of species or origin. Kira's enhanced strength could have crushed him, but her touch was gentle, reverent, as if she were handling something precious and fragile. When they finally lay entwined among the scattered pieces of their clothing, Kira traced patterns on Devon's chest with her silver-blue fingers. "If my clan discovers this, then we make sure they don't," he said firmly. "Or we find a way to survive their discovery." The hunt intensifies their intimate moment was shattered by the sound of approaching footsteps. Through gaps in the crystal formations, they could see the hunting pack had found their trail. Thane Corex's scarred face was set in grim determination as he examined broken crystal formations and disturbed ground. "She was here," he announced to his warriors. And she was not alone. Kira and Devon dressed quickly, their newfound intimacy adding urgency to every movement. Her clan armor sealed itself around her body, transforming her back into the warrior she had been trained to be. But when she looked at Devon, her crimson eyes held promises of the woman she was becoming. "There's an abandoned research station 3 kilometers north," she whispered as they prepared to move. "Human-built, so my people avoid it. We could hide there, plan our next move." "Our next move?" Devon asked, noting her choice of words. "I choose you," she said simply. "Whatever that means for my future with the clan, I choose you." They emerged from the crystal maze to find the hunting pack had split up, surrounding their position with military precision. Kira's enhanced hearing picked up the distinctive whine of charging plasma weapons as her former clanmates prepared for battle. "Surrender the human," Thane Corex's voice echoed from multiple directions. "Complete your hunt, Kira Vex, and return to the clan with honor." Instead of responding, Kira drew her own weapon and placed herself between Devon and the approaching Hunters. The symbolism was unmistakable. She was protecting prey from predator, betraying everything her people stood for. So be it. Thane's voice carried disappointment and rage in equal measure. You have chosen exile, daughter of Valthara. The clan will remember your weakness. A battle that followed was unlike anything either Kira or Devon had experienced. She fought with the skill of a master warrior, but tempered now with protective instinct for the human at her side. Devon's engineering mind turned the crystal formations into weapons, creating electromagnetic fields that disrupted alien equipment, and using the terrain's natural acoustics to confuse their attackers. But they were outnumbered and outgunned. As the fighting intensified, it became clear that love alone might not be enough to survive the fury of a betrayed clan. Plasma fire scorched the crystal formations around them, as Kira and Devon fought back-to-back against the hunting pack. Her silver-blue skin was streaked with cuts from crystal shrapnel, while Devon's makeshift armor bore burn marks from near misses. They had managed to eliminate 2 of the 6 hunters, but Thane Korix and his remaining warriors were closing in for the kill. The research station. Kira gasped during a brief lull in the fighting. If we can reach it, the human technology might give us an advantage. Devon's brown eyes found hers across the chaos of battle. In them, she saw not fear, but determination and something deeper, a love that had bloomed impossibly fast, but felt as eternal as the stars themselves. Together, he said, reloading his modified plasma cutter, they broke from cover simultaneously, Kira's warrior training and Devon's tactical mind working in perfect harmony. She drew fire with her superior speed and agility, while he used his knowledge of the terrain to guide them through the most defensible route. Behind them, Thane's roar of fury shook the crystal formations. The abandoned research station sat on a rise overlooking the valley, its human architecture looking strange and angular against the organic curves of Zarian 7's landscape. Security. Systems long since failed. The facility stood open to their desperate flight. Sanctuary and revelations inside the station. Devon's engineer training came alive. While Kira barricaded the entrance, he worked frantically to restore power to the facility's defensive systems. His hands flew over control panels designed by his own species, reactivating shields and automated defense turrets with growing confidence. This was a xenobiology research station, he said, reading data from restored terminals. They were studying interspecies relationships, trying to understand how different alien races might coexist. Kira's pointed ears perked up as she processed this information. Your people were researching compatibility between species? More than that. Devon's fingers danced across holographic displays, bringing up archived research data. They were trying to prove that emotional bonds could form across species barriers, that love, partnership, and cooperation weren't limited by biology. The irony wasn't lost on either of them. Here they were, living proof of the very theories these scientists had died trying to prove. An alien huntress and a human engineer, brought together by circumstances that should have made them enemies, finding in each other something that transcended every barrier their societies had erected. Outside, the hunting pack had surrounded the facility. Thane's voice boomed through external speakers they had managed to activate. You shame your bloodline, Kira Vex. Surrender the human and face judgment with what honor remains to you. Instead of answering, Kira moved to stand beside Devonette, the control console. Her silver-blue hand covered his human one as they worked together to strengthen the station's defenses. Where their skin touched, she could feel the warmth of his life force, so different from her own cooler alien physiology, yet somehow perfectly complementary. The choice, I could still turn you in, she said quietly, though her actions belied her. Words. Save myself, return to the clan, pretend none of this happened. Devon's brown eyes met her crimson ones with perfect understanding. But you won't. Because what we found together is worth more than the approval of people who see others as prey. My entire life, Kira whispered, I was taught that strength came from domination, that the strong survived by keeping the weak beneath them. But you've shown me another kind of strength. What kind? The strength to protect instead of destroy. The strength to build bridges instead of walls. The strength to love someone different from yourself. Their lips met again, more desperately this time, as plasma fire began to test the station's shields. Each kiss might be their last, but in these stolen moments, they found something more powerful than fear or duty or the expectations of their separate species. Final battle, the shields failed just after dawn, and Thane Corax led his remaining warriors into the station with methodical precision. But they found their prey had not been idle during the night. Devon had used the facility's resources to create weapons and traps that turned human ingenuity against alien strength, while Kira had prepared defensive positions that maximized their tactical advantages. The battle raged through corridors and laboratories, past displays showing the very research that had predicted their impossible love. Devon fought with the desperate fury of someone protecting the most precious thing in his universe, while Kira moved like poetry in motion, her warrior skills finally serving a cause she truly believed in. When Thane finally cornered them in the station's central laboratory, his scarred face was a mask of disappointed rage. You are to be my successor, he told Kira, his plasma rifle trained on Devon's chest. The greatest hunter our clan had ever produced. And you throw it all away for this animal. He's not an animal, Kira said, stepping between the weapon and the man she loved. He's everything our people could become if we chose creation. Over destruction, understanding over hatred. Weakness, Thane spat. You have been infected with human weakness. No, Devon said, rising to stand beside her. She's been strengthened by human hope. The final confrontation was brief, but decisive. As Thane's finger tightened on the trigger, Kira moved with liquid grace, her warrior training preserving the life she had chosen to protect instead of taking the life she had been ordered to claim. When the smoke cleared, Thane lay still, and they were alone among the ruins of expectations and duty, new beginnings. 6 months later, the research station had been transformed into something unprecedented, a sanctuary where humans and alien refugees could find common ground. Devon's engineering skills and Kira's knowledge of alien technology had created defenses that kept hostile forces at bay, while their love had inspired others to look beyond species barriers. Former clan warriors who had grown tired of endless hunting found purpose in protection and construction. Human colonists who had fled the war discovered that not all aliens were enemies. Together, they built something new, a community based on cooperation rather than conquest. Kira stood on the station's observation deck, her silver-blue skin glowing in the light of Zirion 7's setting suns. Her hand rested on her abdomen, where new life was beginning to grow, proof that love could create miracles even science hadn't imagined possible. Devon joined her at the viewport, his arm encircling her waist as they watched ships arrive carrying more refugees seeking the sanctuary they had created. Human vessels and alien craft shared the same landing pads, their crews working together with an efficiency that would have been impossible before. Any regrets? He asked, his lips brushing her pointed ear. Only that it took a hunt to bring us together, she replied, leaning into his warmth. I spent so many years as a destroyer. Now I finally understand what it means to create. Below them, human children played with young aliens in games that had no words in either language, but needed none. Love, they had learned, was truly universal. It simply required the courage to reach across the darkness between stars and species, to grasp what waited on the other side. In the end, the huntress had found her greatest prize not in the death of her prey, but in the life they chose to build together. And in a universe torn by war and division, their love became a beacon of hope for all who dreamed of a future where the space between species could be bridged by understanding, compassion, and the simple, revolutionary act of choosing love over fear. Their stories spread through the galaxy, carried by traders and refugees, told in human settlements and alien clan gatherings alike. The huntress who chose love over duty, and the engineer who saw beauty in his predator's eyes. Proof that, even in the darkest times, hearts could find each other across any divide. The end.